It was sexual, physical, and emotional abuse,
Mm,
and it took me down the road of I was drinking heavily from the age of 8. I
mm,
was drinking alcohol. I was smoking cigarettes. I was doing everything an adult does because I thought that made me an adult.
yes.
But it followed me right through to my teenage years and into my 20s, drinking excessively to bury some of the past trauma. Going out, getting into fights with the police and what have you, because I was on a bit of a death wish.
Mm, mm,
I
mm,
wanted to be taken out. That's why I focused my attention on the police. Not that I liked the
mm.
uniform. It
No.
was that I thought they were the ones who were going to kill me.
I really love your documentary. It's really good.
Thank you. It was a long time ago now, but I'm almost a different person than I
Yeah,
was back then. Uh,
yeah.
both in terms of my weight
Mm,
and my psychological well-being, as well as my physical well-being. I've had some challenges in
mm.
the last 5 or 6 years, but mostly pretty good so far since I've lived in Hamilton.
I have to say, like watching the documentary, it was really inspiring. To be honest, I felt you were just so honest and open about your whole experience, and I think that is just beautiful. And even though you say that was 10 years ago, but yeah, I don't see, even though it's based on mental health and mental distress, but what I saw was a beautiful person, and you have so much to give.
Thank you. I have never seen myself as a beautiful person. In fact, for a long time, I was a very ordinary person, a very sick person. But I think at this time of my life, I just turned 50 this year.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Despite my best efforts, I've made it to 50. I wasn't supposed to be here.
Mm. Mm.
And so I am. And that's a testament to the people I have around me, family, friends, my clinicians. It's a testament to them, really, that I'm still here.
I think it's a testament of who you are as a human being, and that's why everybody loves you. Everybody wants you to be around them, and yeah, I I love it. As soon as I start watching, I was like, wow, this is just so good and
It was
and so
funny.
honest.
It was funny. I got a lot of emails and letters from people who were in prison who watched it.
Wow.
And that was very touching, for them to be able to connect with what I was going on in my life whilst they're in prison, to take the time to write me a letter or send me an email was extraordinary and very humbling.
Can I just say something? What that means is you just need to be yourself.
Yeah.
You just need to be yourself, and your essence of who you are, James, just came through even from camera. And I think sometimes that speak the volumes of who you
Yes.
are.
Yes, I think so. I think we can dwell on the past a bit at
Yes.
times,
Yeah.
but we're not defined by our past,
No.
provided we make a few adjustments to the way we live. I mean, now I let my conscience be my guide. You know, the conscience is always right. It's the other guy on the other shoulder that you've got to watch out for.
I guess that's a very nice way to put it, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
I've had an experience or experiences with abuse. I was one of the recipients of the abuse and care claims. So yeah, I went through a really bad period being defined by the abuse. The strength I get from just pulling breath in and breathe out. And I belong to an organisation called Male Support Services Waikato, which deals with men who have experienced abuse as children.
Mm,
and that's been a tower of strength for me. I started going there about 5 or 6 years ago to do counselling, and I've been seeing a psychologist there for the last 4 or 5 years,
wow.
which has been an extraordinary journey for me. And now I've been a client there for 5 or 6 years. Now I'm just recently got into co-facilitator's role for peer support for a person who's got a diagnosis. It's really exciting that I can share my experiences with others and they can share their experiences with me. And that's where we get our strength from, that mutuality. You know what I mean?
I love it because I believe in peer support. I think there's nothing better than lived experience and sharing that your experience in a safe space and also role modeling and give people hope.
I think it's better than just going to a psychiatrist and getting prescribed pills. That's what
Absolutely.
a psychiatrist does, is prescribe medication. He doesn't deal with trauma or client focused therapy. They don't deal with talk therapies. They're all about the medication, which is fine.
Yes. Yeah.
It's not the whole story.
Mm.
My whole story, I in some seminars I do, I talk about the wraparound services I have. I have a psychiatrist, a psychologist, two men's groups, a work broker, a key worker, a podiatrist, a GP, and all of these people have coalesced with me
Yes.
to survive, and not only to survive but to thrive as well. So
Mm.
I've stayed out of acute mental health wards for the last 6 or 7 years.
Ah.
Stayed out of the way of the prisons. So to have those wraparound services has been really important, both in terms of my own mental and physical well-being, but also in terms of its cost to the taxpayer.
And
You know,
and what I love about what you're sharing is so we go back to the abuse and should we start from there, and then I think it would be quite good to also talk about the group that now you're in. I think that would be a hugely beneficial for many men who still searching for something that work for them.
right? Yeah, yeah. Well, I guess it's difficult because it's hard to find people who've survived care,
Yes.
abuse and care,
Yeah.
who will talk about it openly.
Exactly.
Because there are details and there are things that make it very difficult to talk about.
Yeah.
In terms of my own abuse, it spans 7 or 8 years while in care, and it was sexual, physical, and emotional abuse,
Mm.
and it took me down the road of I was drinking heavily from the age of 8. I
Mm.
was drinking alcohol. I was smoking cigarettes. I was doing everything an adult does because I thought that made me an adult.
Yes.
But it followed me right through to my teenage years and into my 20s, drinking excessively to bury some of the past trauma, going out, getting into fights with the police and what have you, because I was on a bit of a death wish.
Mm. Mm.
I
Mm.
wanted to be taken out. That's why I focused my attention on the police. Not that I liked the
Mm.
uniform. It
No.
was that I thought they were the ones who were going to kill me.
I hear what you're saying, James, because I don't think people understand when you have so much pain inside of you because
Mm.
of your childhood trauma, and sometimes like no one understand you. That's why you're trying to find a way to have a way to. It's not a nice way, but end it all, isn't it?
Yes, I think you're right. I think you're right.
Yeah.
And it's not until you get older that
Mm.
you start to see that I went to AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, in the early 2000s because I was drinking so heavily. And it wasn't the fact that I was drinking so heavily, it was that I was getting into trouble so often whilst under the influence of drink. So I was sober for a couple of years. And if someone's struggling with alcohol abuse, I'd say go and try AA because it worked for me for the time I needed it to work for me.
Mm.
I was with them for about 3 years,
Wow.
sober for about 2 of those years. And that
Mm,
was enough,
mm.
really. By that time, I had a good career in radio. I was a talkback host with News Talk ZB.
Wow.
Yeah. I was doing that whilst hearing voices. So, I mean, that was an extraordinary experience that I don't wish to repeat because it made it really difficult. I didn't really know what was going on.
Yeah.
I think I kind of felt that everybody must go through that
Mm,
because no one talks about it. But yeah, I think that the time you spend dwelling on the past is time wasted.
yes.
You've got to live in the here and now and throw caution to the wind, you know?
Mm. Can I go back to the AA because a lot of people have talked about how AA's been great help for them. I mean, it would be great to hear from your experience what you find most helpful so that someone might consider it for
Yeah.
themselves.
Well, AA is the ultimate in peer support. Everybody in AA has lived experience of alcohol abuse. And what I would say to those people who are considering giving up drinking is try AA and try it for 90 days, for 3 months. If you can commit to it for 3 months, one day at a time, after that 3 months, reassess where you're at. But they say in AA to spend every day for 90 days going to meetings. And I went to a meeting every day. Sometimes I went to 2 or 3 because when we're drinking, we're spending hours and hours and hours drinking.
That's right.
What's a 1 hour Alcoholics Anonymous meeting?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
investment on your life is huge with only a 1 hour a day um, piece of peer support.
Mm, mm,
So I do that, and I definitely try to
mm,
stay away from that first drink. It's the
mm,
first drink that gets you because it's not the 19th because you haven't
mm.
got it yet. It's the first that gets you.
I used to drink as well, and after incidents, I realized that I have to stop. So I haven't had a drink. I don't know for how long. For the same reason, because it's that first drink. What I like about it is because it's the emphasis on the peer support. It's having someone who walk that road and
Yes.
understand.
Absolutely. Get yourself a sponsor. And that's like a mentor, a guide, a peer support worker walking alongside you, giving you support and encouragement, holding your hope for you. If you don't feel hopeful, that person can hold the hope for you.
Mm,
Getting a sponsor is absolutely vital. And then working through the big book. It's not hard. It's especially chapter 5 encapsulates what it is to be striving to be sober.
And what I admire you about James is, despite all the challenges you face, there's something about you that innately wanting to make your life better. Where is that came from? That's what I love about watching your documentary.
For a long time, I didn't want to make my life better. I wanted to die.
Mm,
And I didn't want to live anymore. And even at the time of that documentary, I was in a position where I was a bit iffy about whether I wanted to live or not. But I had a partner and I had hobbies, and I worked in radio, well, as a volunteer on Take It From Us. So I don't know where I got my inspiration from. I think I got a little bit of it from friends, a little bit of it from my partner at the time, a little bit from family, and was sort of sobering up as well. And I got very sick, which was a very strong catalyst for change. I got necrotizing fasciitis, which is a flesh-eating disease. So I had 21 operations to get
okay.
rid of it around my neck and
Wow.
chest and back, and I was supposed to have died. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I went through 6 months of operations and rehab. And I think that changed me a little bit,
Yeah.
just the
Yeah.
fragility of life. But since I've been in Hamilton, I don't drink very much at all now.
Mm,
I have supportive family around me, got a social life,
wow.
this peer support mahi. Things have changed. I have a good connection with my psychiatrist. I have good connection with my psychologist. So things are pretty good.
Tell me what brought you to Hamilton. I mean, where were you before? You were in Auckland, was it?
Yes, I was in Kingseat, which is the
Yeah.
old mental health asylum. It was my older sister who said, "Come down," because she lives in Hamilton, and I've got two other sisters that live in Hamilton as well. So she'd come down. You need to come down. You need to get out of the situation you're in. I'd just broken up with my partner, and it was really my sister Helena who was the catalyst for change for me to come down here. And for that, I can't thank her enough, because now I've got all those other things in my life that I didn't have before.
And I think just so beautiful because that's often the case. You just need one person. You
Just
don't need,
that's all it takes. One person close to you. And as I say, they can be your guide. They can walk alongside you. They can be your peer support. But ultimately, they've got to be positive.
yes.
And it's sometimes difficult to be positive. Things seem so bleak. So to have someone to walk alongside you who is positive, who's been there, done that, wrote the book, is really important.
And so how do you get into the organization? It's called
Tautoko Tāne or Male Support Services.
Male Support Services Total Time. Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I got referred to Male Support Services by my key worker who suggested I go there. So I went there, and under the ACC sensitive claims. So I started going to Male Support Services after that referral. How I got referred to Tautoko Tāne was, who I now work for doing seminars around the country, was that I got referred to them by Male Support Services. The thing I must say is that Male Support Services doesn't provide counselling for people who
Yeah.
have committed crimes against people. It's
Exactly.
purely and simply for a survivor of abuse.
Yeah.
And not
Understand.
just men, there's room there for some women as well.
And I think it's great because that's really help you to truly meet the need of the support services you've been looking for, isn't it? After
Yes, I think so. We've been doing some seminars around the country about
mm,
mental health and well-being for survivors of sexual abuse. And what struck me is in many parts that we have been speaking at, many places where we've been speaking to, is heavily over. There's women more highly represented as clinicians than men.
yes,
So,
yes,
we might have 30 or 40 people in the audience and only two will be men. How we've got to get men more
I
involved.
agree.
I went to a men's health forum back in the early 2000s in
Yeah.
Devon, Auckland, and there were 30 people in that crowd and only one male aside from me. So for a long time, men have been excluded from their own health,
And,
and I
and
think that's a real shame.
and especially what you say, you happy to talk a little bit more about how important it is when male have been sexually abused because it's quite hidden issues as well, and that's why it's even harder because I think also I like to hear a bit more about the seminar that you've been doing around the country.
Yeah, I've been.
Yeah.
There's a book, and you can see that towards
Yes. So
me.
yeah.
The seminars are based on this book. Just some of the statistics: 1 in 4 sexual abuse victims in New Zealand identify as male. 1 in 4.
It's a lot. Yeah.
At least 1 in 6 in New Zealand adult males over the age of 15 have experienced sexual assault. 36% of survivors experience high levels of psychological distress at a cost of $6.9 billion to our economy.
Wow.
And that's, I don't know, I think you can probably pick this book up from Male Support Services or Tautoko Tāne. But the seminars we've been doing has been based around um, some models of care, but it's basically experience, strength, and hope. It is about how can I put this? It's about using cultural supports. It's about wraparound services for people, what they might need, what they might require in terms of wraparound services.
And thank you so much for sharing the resource because I will have a look and find the link or whatever the information I can find because I think it will be so valuable. Essentially, it's a tool for someone who needed to guide them toward the well-being, especially if they have past survival of sexual abuse, isn't
Yes.
it?
Well,
Yeah.
yes, and it's gives voice. These statistics are very recent,
Yeah.
uh,
Wow.
and they're very cogent. Otherwise, how do we know there's a problem if we don't have the numbers, if we don't have the
Mm,
people coming through because they're too frightened to stand
mm.
up, or ashamed, or embarrassed, or
Yeah, I agree because I myself was sexually abused when I was a child. Probably I was about 9 years old, and I didn't really get how much it has influenced my life because I get what you mean, and that is a challenge because for many male sexual survival, I don't think people understand or when it was being talked about, it's not taken seriously.
that's right. That's
Yeah,
right. There's a myth out there that males can't be physically abused or can't be raped, and that's so not true. There's a prevailing feeling that women aren't perpetrators, but in fact, there is a significant number of women who are perpetrators.
exactly.
It's about dispelling those and focusing on the facts and on the stories and on the lived experience of those men who are brave enough to
Yes.
come forward.
And also the shame it carry and also the guilt and the secret. And those are the problems that eating away the individual self-esteem.
And it's not just sex abuse, but it's verbal abuse, it's psychological abuse, it's physical abuse, it's the witnessing
Mm,
those abuses against other people. I know for a long time when it came to my abuser, my long-term abuser anyway, I felt ashamed and I felt guilty that I didn't say anything at the start.
mm.
Rather, I waited 20 years before I said anything, and it weighed on my mind a lot. And that was one of the things that I hated about me. And I felt so guilty about that. These days, the guilt's still there a little bit.
Sure. Yeah.
As a kid, I didn't know any better.
Exactly. And also you wouldn't even know which adult to trust when there is no trusting adult in your environment. You don't even know who to tell,
That's
isn't
right.
that?
And you don't know the language to use.
Yes,
You don't know, well, I didn't know how to describe it.
exactly.
And he'd give me a drink of his beer. And so half the time I was intoxicated anyway, as a 7 or 8 year old. Um, and these people know what they're doing,
Yeah.
and they're very crafty. And it's about, I mean, how do we educate against this kind of stuff? It's very difficult. It's very difficult to talk about it with people of any age, let alone young people.
And James, can I also want to point out one thing? I don't know where you have thought about it yourself. You've been through a lot, like honestly, and probably wouldn't have enough time to capture all that. How what it is that you still have such a beautiful soul. You're still so kind, you're still so caring, you didn't become this, like angry, toxic individual. Instead.
I was an angry and toxic individual to begin with. Between sort of 1995 and 2005, I was could be a very toxic person. But I think what I found was I had a psychologist who dealt with my jealousy. I was a very jealous person, very envious person, and that made me very reactive in my relationships. Um, and how he was able to do that was to say to me, if you think jealous thoughts, throw them the other way around. Um, don't act on them. Act on a
Mm.
pure thought. As I say, let my conscience be my guide. Once I got some distance on my trauma, I was able to let my conscience be my guide. And the more good I did, the more comfortable I was in my own skin.
Wow.
So that meant that I wasn't jealous and I wasn't envious and I wasn't angry because I was doing good, and that made me feel good. And when you feel good, it's very hard to do anything wrong, you
Yes.
know? And I'm not
Yeah.
talking about a drug feel good, because I think the medications I think they've sort of leveled me out a bit. I don't have the highs and lows,
Mm.
but being a good person is what I strive to be now. Not a rich person, not a flash person, not a sporty spice, not a scary spice, but a good, decent, honourable, honest, comfortable in his own skin, generous and kind person. That's what I hope for myself.
You are even from 10 years ago when I watched the documentary. I haven't had a chance to talk to you. That's what I want to understand is even that documentary just came through strongly about who you are as a person.
Yeah.
I mean, like now I understand what trauma you've been through that even speak volumes of why Gary and Sheldon speak so highly of you.
Well, I speak so highly of them. And Sheldon was a great support and is a great support to me because he has lived experience. And I don't think you'll mind me telling you that.
Yeah.
He has lived experience and has a very insightful way of talking about the things that concern you. And he's been a great friend to me, and I enjoyed doing the Take It From Us radio show, which he hosted for many years. We have a really good, strong relationship. And Gary's a great guy as well. I mean, to be called a great guy by great guys is a great thing.
He is a wonderful person, and I'm just so lucky even to call him my friend and humble as well when I was talking to him. Then another thing, Jane, is what would you say to other people if they currently struggle? How do they start? I mean, the challenge I see is, men, especially in New Zealand, usually having a lot of, I mean, Pakeha men. It's not easy to get support or help, to be
No.
honest. And even like what you say, like to find someone who can understand those complex issues, including, like sexual abuse, anger, mental health, it's not even that many.
Yeah, finding services are a real problem in many places. Here in the Waikato, obviously here in Hamilton, we've got male support services. The male support services has a caravan that goes to the smaller towns,
Wow.
and people can be referred through that. The caravan that goes through each town, Tiamutu, Tikwiti, Ngaruawahia, Huntly, all those smaller areas. And apparently, I was out there today. In fact, they have 3 to 5 people who have lived experience turn up and refer to us, if you like, male support services.
Mhm.
So that's good. In finding support, gosh, I'd find a friend, although they can be difficult at times because they don't understand. But finding a friend, finding a positive family member, looking within yourself for that part of you that's still alive and still beats and still has a little bit of hope and strength. That's what I would say. It is difficult though.
Yeah, I agree, especially even someone, like moving out of town and having into a place where it's not your usual. How do you even start socializing?
That's right. That's right.
Oh,
It is so difficult, and it needs a lot of it, a lot of investment to start getting some services going for those smaller communities. And I think one other point that I'd like to make is
mm,
that very often men are told they
mm,
don't know how to communicate. Whereas I actually think men do know how to communicate. It's just they're not given the space, the time, the energy to be able to communicate. We're not listened to. Um, and our communication takes many different forms. To my way of thinking, there was a time when my communication was shouting and screaming and bloody carrying on with the police. That's a message to the community that all is not well. And if we don't listen to that, and what we do at the moment is we hear it and we put it in jail or put it into a mental health unit or split them up. Um, Whereas I think we've got to actually start listening to our men and giving them the space. Find the other great thing is meditation and time out, taking time out, those sorts of things as well. Getting in touch with yourself, your authentic self, and that's why it's great that you show authentic leadership, because that authenticity, you're not lying to anybody then. So you're not having to look over your shoulder. You're telling the truth as you see it. You're reaching out for the facts, and you're doing what that good guy on your shoulder says you should do.
I love what you just highlighted because I was trying to find a way how to articulate it. You put it beautifully. It's
Thank
true. Men, how they communicate is not like soft-spoken, sit down another mate. Whatever form they communicate is a form they are trying to get help.
Yeah, yeah. I've had more deep and meaningful conversations going fishing than I have sitting in front of my psychiatrist. My psychiatrist doesn't know about my abuse, or if he does, he doesn't bring it up ever. He doesn't care to bring it up. And I see him 15 minutes out of every 2 months. Whereas my psychologist, I see once for an hour every week. So she knows me better than everybody else, except for those people in my support group, which now I co-facilitate,
Mm.
which is a fabulous thing. If you can get referred to a male support group that has strong people in it with experience, strength, and hope, do it. And there's something there that's really cheap, doesn't cost you anything.
Tell me, have you ever thought it would be one day become co-facilitator of the peer support group? What? That must be crazy when
It is. It's crazy. As I say, I wasn't supposed to live. And it's only been in the last couple of years that I've sort of thought, wow. And it's only been in the last, it's been in the last 2 months, 3 months that I've been doing the co-facilitating role. And it's fabulous. I get to talk to other men. I get to listen to them. I get to listen to their experience, their hope, their strength, I get their support. And this is 5 or 6 other guys who are painters and decorators and doctors and lawyers and, people are unemployed and people have a diagnosis. That's the one thing I would say about living in Hamilton. I don't live my diagnosis anymore
awesome.
because I'm doing the things I need to do to keep myself well.
I love it. I love it. And that is what it is about, isn't it? We are not our diagnosis. It has been labeled, but they are not the whole us.
Yes,
And
that's right.
yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
And it's interesting because I was talking to someone the other day who had committed a crime, and he said to me, "I'm a good person. It was just that 5 minutes I had a brain explosion and
Yes.
did what I did,
Yeah.
and that's defined me for the last 7 years because he's been in jail for 7 years." And he's so right. That does define him. Once a crim, always a crim. All of
Yes.
that sort of mythology. Whereas actually, he is a good person.
Mm.
And if he can be given a chance to show that, he will.
Yes.
It's when we lock them up and throw away the key is when we want to worry, because it just makes them angry and frustrated. And
And I talked to Dave Burnside. I don't know whether you know him or not. He also was in incarceration for a long time. And I agree.
yeah,
Not every solution need to be lock someone up because that is the worst solution. To
that's
be
right.
honest.
Yeah, I was watching something the other day on television about whether to legalize drugs or not.
Uh, uh,
I'm still a bit out on that. What I don't like though is someone who takes marijuana
Mm.
or P or ecstasy, or they are, they're searched and locked up and sent to a judge and given community service or whatever. Whereas actually they might need to go through the psychology route, because they have other issues going on that should be dealt in a health spectrum, not in a criminal justice spectrum.
And you just suddenly make me realize something as well, like James, because you say most of the services, talking therapy, psychotherapy or whatever, they truly cater they truly catered for a female gender
Yeah,
instead of male. Even, like if you look at a population for in present, men, of course, is disproportionately higher than a female.
yeah,
But I just suddenly had this, epiphany. Is like that's why we fell, because male hasn't been really looked at it seriously about the way you say when you have so much pain, you're not going to softly spoken and cry. You wanted someone to take you down, but that
yes,
was just a crying out for help.
yes, yes. And it's when I've dealt with people in the talk area, being calm, being considered, being thoughtful, listening,
Mm.
reflective listening, all of those things are so important to understanding a person with lived experience. And there is no doubt in my mind that if men are given the chance to speak and given the space to speak, they will speak. They'll speak their truth, and it may be difficult to hear, but you sign up for it. You listen to the lot.
And also, when you have someone like you, even with Dave, like with that lived experience, and able to stand in front of that person and say, "Look, I've been through it. I know how painful it is, and you are not alone."
Yeah.
And that is so powerful because that's what you are doing now. You're just letting other men who've been through sexual abuse and haven't had the chance to even talk about it to acknowledge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's to acknowledge that, it's to bring it out in the open, to not be ashamed of it or feel guilt or I mean a lot of these guys have witnessed verbal abuse and psychological abuse, and not just the sexual.
Mm, mm,
But they've experienced a lot, which has led them in many cases to exhibit complex PTSD. They feel isolated, ashamed of their masculinity. All of these things are really big issues. So one shouldn't underestimate how hard it is to actually start getting that stuff out.
and I can identify that because my anxiety, when it get worse, it became outburst anger. It's not some like for years I'm so afraid of my own anxiety because when it triggered, it's just boom, I
Yes.
became someone else that I'm not proud of. And but yet I was so afraid of that anger because when it flipped, it just flipped.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like turning on and off a light, isn't it?
Yeah. And when it happened, I couldn't think. It's just everything's just not blackout, but it's just I'm not in control
Yeah.
of that energy. So
Yeah. A lot of people have dissociation where
mm,
they lose their connection between themselves and the reality around them, which is
mm,
a very disconcerting thing.
mm,
And as I say, if you can find the right people around you, and if you can find the right things you can do. Actually, funnily enough, someone said to me, "What do you do in the middle of the night? You're being kept up by the voices and by not being able to sleep because you've got flashbacks or your bad dreams." Or I say, ring talkback radio, listen to them for about 5 minutes, see what
yeah.
they're about, and then ring them up and talk about what they're on about.
Awesome.
I said, the audience will appreciate you. Talkback host will appreciate you, and you'll have spent 5, 10 minutes talking about something completely different.
I love that.
So do that, and I think that's good for your mental health.
Yeah. I love how creative it is for you to find solution. It's not necessary. That's the best way, isn't it? You don't have to.
I think so. You don't have to. although, all of the phone numbers you can ring nowadays, they're all very important. But if you don't want to be thinking about your trauma or your nightmares or your whatever, yeah, ring talkback. That's the way.
Because again, like even though the services are out there for people to utilize, but we don't have to go there all the time.
That's right.
Sometimes you just want to talk to someone who not reminding someone about their own mental health, mental distress. They just want to feel normal.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And it's that feeling normal that a lot of people just haven't had for years in their lives. Um, with our men's group, I co-facilitate two men's group, and very seldom we don't talk about abuse. We can, and we sometimes do, but we talk about how we live in the now. We talk about who we can rely on. We talk about our own strength. We talk about where we go to from here. We don't necessarily just talk about how we were abused. We talk about, as I say, experience, strength, and hope.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is important because you're talking about future.
Yes,
Otherwise, it's just all the past, like things that you can't fix, things that just bring out trauma, pain. But when you're talking about forward movement, you're talking
yes,
about tomorrow, a
yes,
day after, someone
yes.
you love, care, and equally care about you.
That's right. And again, if you want to get out of your dissociation of your life, I would vacuum the carpet and listen to the radio too loud, and I do those things, make the bed, and at the end of the day, you made the bed, you think, "Oh, yeah, I made that bed.
Mm.
I did that." And it's more comfortable when I go and lie in it later on in the evening. So doing things actively. I have a friend who is looking at doing some bushwalks
Oh.
with our group. And that's a great opportunity to talk, going on a walk.
And also having friends and go to the nature, take yourself out, not just staying at home and yeah.
Not staying at home and just popping pills and just watching TV. You can do that, but if it's not making you or helping you to feel better about yourself, then why do it? Why not do something that does make you feel better about yourself? I mean, I hate physical exercise,
Mm,
but it's good for me to
mm.
get out and go for a walk. I feel good when I come back from a walk.
And sometimes not the walk, isn't it? Sometimes even if better if you have a mate who can walk with you.
Absolutely. Yeah. No doubt about that.
What you point out is a lot of that kind of using your immediate resources.
Yes.
How do someone start doing it? Because I understand for people who might be feeling, oh, it's easy, like it seems like, now you can say about all this, but I felt you also do a lot of work to get you there. It's not just come to you, isn't it?
Ye- there's a quote. I'll read you this quote by a guy called Nick Mars.
Mm,
Mars. He says, "Well-being is not a beach you go to and lie on. It's a sort of dynamic dance, and there's movement in that all the time. And it's the functionality of that movement which actually is the true levels of well-being." So there you go. Well-being doesn't just happen. It just doesn't miraculously one day appear in your
mm,
life. It does demand work, and it demands that work where you let your conscience be your guide. I mean, even if you have to go to go to the library, to a self-help section of the library, even if you have to go to Citizens Advice Bureau to find where there are some support groups, joining groups, joining AA, getting referred to, we're getting referred to male support services. Um, yeah, just do whatever you can to reach out.
mm, mm,
So the start of my change, although it was a bit like that,
mm.
start of my change is when I went to AA. Because the only thing you need for membership of AA is a desire to stop drinking. So if you have that desire, or even if you don't, turn up, it's a free coffee and a biscuit, and you can listen to people who've been there, done that, and have read the book. They're doing the do, as it were. But yeah, reaching out as much as you can is important, because if it's a numbers game, if you reach out to 5 people and you get 10% return, it's a good number of people. If you spread it out over a number of people. That's what I did. I just reached out as much as I could. I did as much mahi on myself as I could. I did an inventory of myself. So I had to look at my own part in my life. Some of the things that I have done to other people, not good. So taking an inventory of yourself, being gentle with yourself also. I think there's so much we can do that doesn't cost anything. Meditation and people do yoga and listen to ambient music, and there's all kinds of things you can do.
And do you still paint? Do you still do your oil painting and
It's right. I don't paint very much anymore because I don't have the space for it.
yeah,
I found that really helpful.
yeah,
For your Live Art Trust, I'll give them a plug.
yes.
Were very good for my mental health. Absolutely.
And your art was really good as well. I really liked it. The color, the dog. I saw it like everywhere. That
Right.
was. I didn't know that was you. That was
Oh,
cool.
thank you. Thank you. Yeah, a lot of people liked what I did, and it was a great way for me to spend hours and hours and hours doing that than drinking.
Mm,
It was cheaper. It distracted me for longer. It let me meditate on things because I might listen to some classical music. I did so much to keep me centered. When I didn't have that, that's when I fell off the wagon a bit.
So what do you do now when you have free time?
Well, I write a bit of poetry, and I read and I socialize now, meet up with friends for coffee and so on. I have quite a close relationship with my sister, so I go around to her place for dinner every Sunday.
Um,
Yeah, it means I don't have to cook.
yes, a proper meal,
I live,
proper roast meal. I mean,
yeah, roast meal here. I live with my other sister and her partner, who are great to me, great supports to me. So, yeah, reading, writing, and a little bit of walking and stuff like that. Yeah, I find it
so
all very helpful.
and you've been travel a bit as well. I saw some of your posts on Facebook to different places.
Yes, I talk about well-being on these seminars, which are called Towards Wellbeing. And so we've had I think I've been in 6 seminars, and we've got another 6 to go. So that'll take us up to March next year.
Wow.
And whatever happens after that, I'm not sure. They've been really well attended. I won't discuss too much of it here because there's
I
quite a lot
understand.
to digest, but they've been well attended. We've had people like the chief executive of historic claims at ACC has been to the meetings. We've had people from Bernardo's to Women's Refuge to a whole raft of
Wow.
different organisations have come to the seminars, which are free,
Yes.
and you get a copy of this book. So yeah, no, we're doing some in the central North Island, and then we're going up to Whangarei to do some seminars up there. It should be good. It's been well accepted. The personal stories that we tell are apparently connect,
Mm.
so that's good, and we've enjoyed putting them on for people.
I wonder, I mean, I think this must be a surprise. I don't think you have even thought that you would be going on a road show and talk to people and sharing stories. How that make you feel?
Makes me feel good. I have some meaning and some purpose in my life now. Before, I saw my life as being a waste of time, of not being connecting with other people. So this, I connect with a lot of people from around the country, I talk a lot to people with lived experience and to people who have experience of working with people with lived experience, and with peer support too, where you get advice and discuss. You don't get to discuss these sorts of things having a pint of beer at the pub. You talk about the rugby at the pub. You talk about these deep and meaningful things when you're at these seminars. So they're heavy, but they're not too heavy.
Mm.
They're very much focused on the healthy living kind of.
You know what? I'm so pleased you hang around enough to connect the dots, to
Yeah.
use your experience in helping so many people. I tell you, I mean, I believe the power story, the power peer support, the power lived experience. I think even when they hear your story, even now hearing your story, it will uplift so many people because that's what I think is the most important thing is the trauma or whatever sometimes doesn't make sense. But sometimes we need to hang around a bit longer. And when the time is right, like you can like you use it as a gift.
Yes, yes. I agree. I agree. It is about turning your life into a positive, even the negative experiences that you have, turning that into a positive in helping other people and walking along people in their journeys. I'm still relatively new at walking alongside people with their journeys, but the more I do it, the more I get out of it, and the more I give to other people.
And what would you say to your younger self if there's even a chance, like to go back to your younger self when, like something that you would say to him? Yeah.
Be honest, stand up for yourself, work hard, be diligent, work towards resilience, meditate, do good, be kind. Um, if you can't help, don't hinder. Those are the things I'd say to a younger me, but mostly being true to yourself is
And and
that's the key.
and you are everything you talk about. That's amazing. Yeah.
Thank you.
So before we finish, do you have anything else you would like to share?
I just reiterate that being kind to yourself, don't be hard on yourself because that can be distressing in itself. So I think the parting comment would be good to yourself, be
Before,
kind and gentle.
I think you hit the head on the nail. Do you want to elaborate that a little bit? I think for men especially, I don't think men know how to do that.
Being gentle with themselves.
Yeah,
I think you're right. I think it's either hard on or hard off.
yeah.
As I say, being gentle with yourself is accepting the things you do, staying away from the things you shouldn't be doing, and staying in your lane of what you should be doing. And if you step off that, accept it, move on. Don't let it define you. Don't let it grab you in its grasp. Just accept it, move on, say sorry, I didn't mean to do that, and continue going down that road to salvation.
I hear you. I agree. I mean, we all make mistakes and don't let mistake define who we are. And acknowledge that, yeah, I could have done better. Let's move on.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's the key.
Yeah. What an honor, James. I mean, I just feel so honored to have a chance to talk to you and wow, and your story and your work is going to help so many people. And I just feel honor and thank you and also your work. I think that's just phenomenal. Yeah.
Yes, I'm proud of what I'm doing at the moment. It makes me feel good. And if I feel good, then I'm spreading good vibes around the place. So are you, Ivan. Don't underestimate the work you do, the importance of the work you do.
Thank you.
It is important.
Thank you. And with that, I just want to say I found another authentic leadership from someone else. and that is you, and goes well.